Hello and welcome to another episode of FPL Journey to 10K, the podcast and series in which we dive into the mind of one of the greatest FPL players ever. And he's back with us this week. Hello, Matt. How was your trip?
Hello, my friend. Yeah, pretty sweet, pretty sweet. I think going anywhere hot when you live in South Wales is a treat. So yeah, got some of that UV light kind of like hitting me. Feel refreshed. Didn't really pay much attention to FPL, so a nice respite. So yeah, feeling good. And yeah, I'll give a bit of apology to you and anyone like listening. Obviously, you can probably see by the wobbly hands and the bad sound quality. I'm coming off my phone now, so yeah, we'll see how that goes. But all good. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. They'll just be happy to have you back, mate. They put up with me only last week, chatting all this nonsense about playing my wild cards, and then I absolutely bottled it and didn't didn't decide to play it.
Yeah.
But all good, all good. I've not had a terrible game week. I'm pretty sure you'll want to no skip past the game week 28 review, but we will have a look. We've both still got players left to go in the double game week. But yeah, not bad, not bad. Palmer punished me slightly. But yeah, not too bad overall. I mean, we may as well let's load it up, I suppose. Game week 28. Here are the teams. As I say, we can skip by this one. I think most people are going to be interested in whether we're free hitting. So we can skip by this if you want to very quickly. Feel free to go first.
That's genuine, kind of generous of you, mate.
Yeah, I'm a nice guy.
I do have the excuse that, like, because I'm on the phone screen, everything is just pixels now, so I can't really see the team. So yeah, but yeah, obviously with the Luton Bournemouth game to go, I'm on 20 points, so like a game week rank of pretty much 9 million. My two transfers in aren't looking too smart at the moment, so I brought in Zabani and Kirkez as like part of the double Bournemouth defence. Zabani kind of like he kind of got a haul, didn't he? He got 1 point, but Kirkez got yellow carded and then subbed at half time. So let's see if he starts against Luton. I doubt it. But yeah, like pretty poor all round. So the only return I got is one assist from De Bruyne. So I think I plummeted my live rank at the moment. I plummeted massively. I've gone down by over 100k. So I'm 356,000 ranked now. So yeah, pretty tough one. But yeah, pretty funny anyway. But I got punished by a lack of Son and a lack of Palmer, who obviously those are like really good, solid, great FPL players. So like a bit of my mistake not having them. I think with Son, obviously I'm aware that Spurs were a really good attack and that Villa do play that high line, because we had that chat, weren't we, earlier in the season for the reverse fixture, that they've got that high line that can play into players like Son's into their hands. But like, I think it was a bit fortunate, right? I think his live stats were, well, he didn't really he wasn't on for a monster of the Hall until after 90 minutes, which I guess does demonstrate the benefits of picking players that just stay on the pitch the whole game and beyond. But I think, yeah, he got 17 points in it. But I think his XGI, so his combination of expected assists and expected goals, was like 0.6. So like decent performance, but like you wouldn't expect 3 attacking returns for that. And like I think it's the same last week as well. He got some returns, and they kind of all happened after 90 minutes. So yeah, it does show the benefit of a player like Son, who stays on the pitch the whole time. And I think, yeah, to a lesser extent, got punished by Palmer, but obviously know that risk. So yeah, I focus my move. I think that's a reflection of my team being very orientated towards 2 very unsuccessful double game weeks. So you can kind of see my team, heavy on City in the midfield and a few Liverpool players there, and then this week heavy on Bournemouth. I went hard on game week 25 and hard for this game week. What game week are we? 29? No, we're 28. Game week 28. I went heavy on the Bournemouth players for the double game week. So, but I kind of neglected just like the solid, not excellent players like Palmer and Son without a double. So yeah, kind of like probably. Yeah. We'll see what happens like now in the Bournemouth game, but it could be one of my worst game weeks ever. We'll see how that progresses. But yeah, you're looking all right.
Actually, it could.
But
Could
like,
come in.
you're still on the red though, aren't you? Despite scoring.
On a red, yeah. So when I put this up, I was on a green. This was done at 6 p.m. yesterday before the Chelsea game, and I also don't have Palmer. 3 points off safety, so I'm down to 87k. But Solanke captain. Obviously, I own 200% of him. I think his effective ownership it is high. It's about 170%, but I've got 30% on that, and then I'd hope Sabani, however you pronounce his name, will start. I've got him left to go as well. So if he can get a clean sheet, I worked it out. I did my two transfers were Darwin to Solanke and then Moreno to Zabanyi, if that's how it's pronounced. I would have played Walker instead of Moreno. Moreno would have been on my bench, and I'd have played Walker. So overall, I am 12 points down on that transfer, but I've got Solanke because I'd have captained Saka. So I've worked it all out. 12 points. So one goal from Solanke will get me 12 points. So I can those transfers could return profitable. They could also not. So we'll see. The big weight on that. But hopefully it goes my way and I can get a green. If not, it looks like it's going to be a small red. And you've always said if you're gonna get reds, make them small. So hopefully it will be. But the big again, similar to you, 2 returns only. One Son, so 17 points for him, and then one who has probably been my signing of the season so far, Pascal Gross, getting a return and 2 bonus points. So he's picked up 8 points for me this game week, which really takes a lot of the sting because I think people that have Palmer don't have Gross, so he's helped to save me from that 13 point. But we must have both been absolutely fuming with Ramsdale with his absolute howler to get the goal away.
No, that was a shocker, right? And I think obviously I think White had the 2 assists in these, so he came out with a nice haul, and he's looking like probably the best bet out of the Arsenal defenders. But Ray is going to be back next week, right? So hopefully there'll be less like kind of like absolute howlers that kind of like Ramsdale's kind of prone to. But I think I was looking at my transfers because you were like outlining you took out Moreno. I took out Stupinan for Kirkes actually. So like it's obviously uncertain minutes. He's just been quite a bad player the second half the
clean sheet,
but like he got his clean sheet like inevitable. But
typical.
I think it's kind of it's all good. Who did you take out Palmer for anyway? Like, because obviously we both have had Palmer, we've like bigged him up, and
Hwang.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought that was the case. Yeah,
which obviously, I mean, the thing is, I'm looking at it right, and if I had Palmer instead of Hwang, I'd probably played him. But I'd have been looking at that front 7 and like, well, who do I play him for? It probably would have ended up being Foden.
Yeah, true.
It's tough. But he'll be back. He'll be back soon. Unfortunately, as much as I love Gross, from game week 30, Gross to Palmer is looking a prime move because Brighton's fixtures turn pretty negatively.
Yeah, no, that's a solid move, to be fair. But yeah, we got. I think you are looking pretty promising to get a green. Well, you've only got two Bournemouth players in you, so
yeah,
I think they need to keep the. I don't know if the clean sheet benefits you or not, but like you'll be there or thereabouts with your kind of rank, which is cool. I'm just going all in for I guess Kirkes to get an attacking return, but I doubt he's gonna start now. But yeah.
Why did he get? Do we know why he got subbed off? Has that come out?
No, it feels a bit. There's like when I saw it happen, then like I think the following day or the same afternoon, I was like, he was doing some weird posts on his social as if he was like moving to Chelsea, but like, it's kind of a bit of a. I think that's a bit of a non-rumor, but like. I think it was just like, they were behind unexpectedly to loot and just needed to change the setup completely in the structure of the team, really. So the issue that I've got is that I think the guys that came on, they were the ones that scored and assisted. So like, if you're a betting person, a betting man, you'd probably say that they'll start with the team that was playing the second half. So yeah, we'll see. Seriously, right? Like, I've never heard of the guy before, and like, don't even know what the guy looks like. I do now, but like it's kind of one of those just kind of random picks,
Play
right?
the double.
So, yeah.
We've both done well to not mention Solanke's disallowed goal and penalty miss, by the way, and we'll move on very quickly before we before we depress ourselves.
I mean, you hit the nail on the head earlier, though. Like, it don't really make a difference, right? At the moment, it's the low-owned players like your Gross and my double Bournemouth defence, the double Arsenal defence we both got. They make the difference, right? I think Solanke's effective ownership was what 180%. At higher ranks, it was like close to 190%. So net don't make much of a difference, right? So yeah, there's like it's funny though.
It is what it is.
It becomes part of the story of just like underwhelming double game weeks. So it's like it's all good fun, but I don't think it's really changed that. It's not. If he'd scored that, it wouldn't really have changed our net position. So whatever.
Yeah. That makes me feel better. I have made a note on some talking points for the game week. Tried to throw a few puns in, just to entertain myself more than anything. I've started off with double game week letdowns, and we've touched on a few. But just to kind of reiterate, like, focused on double game weeks, a lot of people went for Solanke, got 0 points. Morris, 2 points. Barkley, 2 points. There were 0 clean sheets for Luton or Bournemouth. Both keepers got 3 points. Everybody else got lower. It's been a pretty underwhelming double game week.
Well, we've won one game to go, right? So it's only half time, right? So Bournemouth or Luton, vice versa, they get a clean sheet, or one of these highly owned players gets an attacking return. Then you're looking quite happy with it. I think my hope here is that actually, I think statistically and over time they are really powerful, like double game weeks, right? So hopefully there'll be a few people with the last two fresh in their mind, don't think that they're massively powerful and don't attack them and kind of think that they kind of ignore the circumstances, right? So you had a player who missed a penalty, like the captain. You had players like Kirkes who just got randomly subbed, and then the Liverpool double game week for and Man City one from a few weeks ago. There was obviously a tremendous amount of injuries to people like De Bruyne and Jota and Darwin, right? So these are just like random stuff that happened, right? So they're still really powerful, but I think there is a bit of a lesson around. You want doubles from good teams and good nailed players, right? So I think a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, a few brave people wildcarded into a team full of Luton and Bournemouth players, right? And they're not great teams, are they? Right. So I think you got to temper the enthusiasm a little bit based on the teams themselves. But I'm thinking I'm viewing them as like freak results that have happened like recently. Normally they're really really solid. Luton had one earlier in the year, didn't they? And then that was when Morris he was like the captaincy option, wasn't he? Like, was that like game week 10 or something like that? I can't remember the exact thing, but it was early in the season. So now on the flip side, you can these players from like the lower half teams, they can do well in them. So I'm still going to go pretty hard for doubles like this year and future ones. But they've been disappointing this year.
Very, very. But there's still 2 to come in 34, 37. No doubt we'll both be using wildcards to build a team suited to that after we see this weekend's FA Cup results. His consistency has been gross. I need you to rate my puns out of 10. That's clear. The reaction tells me the result for that one. But I'm bringing it up because he's probably never going to be in my team again, right? And I feel for he has been a hero. So in the last 6 game weeks, expected goal involvement of 3.31. He has actually seen 6 returns in the last 6 game weeks, 1 goal, 5 assists. Expected points of 39.4, has achieved 45, 6.5 million. Form has been unbelievable. Now, the reason I'm bringing it up is my question to you. His form has been great for the player and the price point. Yeah. His next 6 games, blank. Liverpool away, Brentford away, Arsenal, Burnley away, Chelsea. What do you do?
No, you transfer him out for someone like Palmer, do you? So obviously, when you brought him in, it's like he's been really good. He's been really good, and like I think fair play. You were looking at the stats and looking at he's just always going to play. He's going to be on set pieces, right? And like I don't know if you looked at it in too much detail, but like he's always good for bonus, right? So I think he gets because he would create so many chances, and like his passing accuracy is so like great, and he just gets the most kind of ball time for Brighton because he's the playmaker. If he gets one attack into return, he's great for a return. I think there has been times this season and certainly previous seasons where he's had like bonus without any attacking return, which is pretty amazing. So he's done good. But I remember you were looking at the options for the midfield option when you went for Gross. The fixtures at Brighton are a really big reason why you went there. So
absolutely,
fixtures do breed form, and like you can rinse and repeat this across the whole league, right? It's like, oh my god, Arsenal are incredible, like, and they are kind of a really good team, but like their fixtures since 24 to 28, West Ham, Burnley, Newcastle, Sheffield United, and Brentford. So like you'd kind of expect them to do it. Like I think fixtures really do breed it. So breed like good results and good FPL returns. Like so, I'd be moving him on. But yeah, that pun is disgusting.
I think it will.
That pun is bad. It is bad.
Well, the next one, get in there, son. So, slightly better pun. No, okay, we'll move on. So in the 3 games since he's returned, he's had expected goal involvement of 2.26. He's achieved 4. Now, Son always overperforms his metrics. Probably not to the extent he has done in the last 3 game weeks. But he's playing for Tottenham, an attacking team. He's playing as the number 9. He doesn't blank, and in his next 4, he's got Luton at home and Forest at home. You don't have him presently. Is he like top of your shopping list?
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of like free hitting, so I made that decision. If I wasn't, I would have like got Son in like a game week, this game week or a game week prior, like because I think he's one of the prime captaincy options. But yeah, he'll be in my team, and then like if I just wild card in 30 or 31, I think he'll be in my team. If I don't wildcard, he's probably a prime candidate for me to bring in anyway as a captaincy option against Sheffield United in Luton, sorry, in game week 30 for De Bruyne. So yeah, obviously he's on my shopping list. But I think I've been punished. Like I've been undeservedly punished, really. Like I'm looking at the FPL site and his expected goals was 0.2, and like expected assists 0.3. So I know game circumstance and whatnot opened up for him, but like that's a massive overperformance even by his standards. So I feel a little bit justified. I'll take those little wins, but I don't think it'd be a very reactive decision to bring him in because he was always on the list just like when the fixtures kind of like swing. So painful that is always like majority of his returns the last 2 games have happened after 90 minutes. Oh, that's tough.
Yeah. I think he had an assist until the 91st minute against Villa, and then a goal and an assist in injury time, which I mean that's not going to happen every week. I think he got the goal in like the 89th minute the week before.
Yeah,
so it's been very late on.
It's been late on, but like he's obviously played 90 minutes in the game 25, 27, and 28. So like that's the benefit of picking a player who's on the pitch all the time. I mean, like a lot of people, I didn't really deep it too much. I didn't really overthink it, but some people are like, oh, because Richarlison is injured, some will play as the 9. He's been exceptional as the 9, rather than being isolated on the wing. I didn't really think into that too much, and I still think it's not a great analysis. But like, if people made that guess that a Richarlison out means that Son will be on fire, fair play. But like, I have to just like overlook that a little bit. But
was my guess. So it's the reason I got him in. I sold Richarlison for him because I was like, well, he's going to be the number 9. I know I've got lucky with the points he's got. He's very much overperformed. You mentioned somebody before, Ben White, right? And I've got White on the money instead of right on the money.
That's a nice.
Is that better? No, I'll give you one out of 3. I know Meatloaf says 2 out of 3 ain't bad, but I'll take 1 out of 3. So White on the money, and you mentioned he is possibly Arsenal's best defender to have at the minute. Now we've both got Gabriel and Saliba. Can't bring White in because we've both got Saka. Over the last 6 game weeks, you are bang on, my friend. White expected points 35.9, so call it 36. Gross. Gabriel even is 33, and Saliba's 31. And it's down to expected assists. 0.55 for him. Gabriel's 0, and Saliba's 0.04.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously you'd say he's a minutes risk, which can work in favour for defenders, because I think against Sheffield United in game week 27 he was sub 64 minutes, so banked the clean sheet, and the same goes for Burnley in game week 25. He was benched 68 minutes, right? So he's less secure in terms of minutes, but like I think obviously he's such a good player. He'll play every game now between the end of the season if he's fit. And yeah, like you said, he's got a bit more attacking threat because of the assist threat. And I think it's obviously heavily weighted by the last 2 games, right, where he's had double digit hauls, but like he's now the top scoring defender in the game, which is like cool. But I think with defenders, like you just got to go with teams that are keeping clean sheets, right? And if you don't have double Arsenal, I'm not in a position to lecture anyone, right? Because some teams are so bad. But like I would say, if you don't have double the Arsenal defense right now, you're doing it wrong. There's like fire by a massive margin. Like they are the best defense, right? So I think a lot of people don't have that double defense yet. I think when people wildcard in game week 30 and 31, where a lot of people will be planning to wildcard, yeah, Arsenal double defense will be like the template, I think, for sure.
If you didn't have a double Arsenal defence already, which 2 are you picking?
Probably Gabriel and White, I think, at this stage.
Gabriel and White. It's interesting you say that. I was in a chat with somebody and he was saying Saliba's a better FPL pick than Gabriel, and I couldn't have it. They expect Gabriel's cheaper, his expected goal returns higher. I was like, I don't understand the Saliba route. I haven't looked at bonus point though, so maybe Saliba gets better bonus.
I think the problem is with Arsenal
stats for clean sheets.
I think the problem is with the like his bonus will be like fine, but like I think from a defensive point of view, Raya will, if there's like a 0-0, there won't be a 0-0. But if there's one, Raya will kind of hoover up the bonus points anyway, with save points included, right? And then more often than not, they score quite a few goals, so the attackers will kind of hoover up the bonus points anyway. So I think it's a bit of a moot point. But yeah, we said at the beginning of the season, of course, where Gabriel was like unexpectedly benched randomly for the first 5 game weeks, right, in and out. But like, yeah, now it's the settled like back 4. Well, 3 of them are settled, right? Obviously, the left back position is still up for grabs a little bit. Like Gabriel and White for attacking threat they are better than Saliba.
Yeah, agree. Well, that's last week. Now we're looking ahead. A little give the game away. Free it. I've played my free it already. I'll show you my squad later on. But these are the teams and the form of the players over the last 6 game weeks that are playing this week. Now, just to clarify, in case anybody that's listening hasn't seen it yet, there's only 8 teams playing. So they are, remind me if I forget any: West Ham, Villa, Fulham versus Tottenham, Luton versus Nottingham Forest, and Burnley versus Brentford. So they're the 8 teams that are playing. I've pulled the list together. Unsurprisingly, Watkins at the top. I think that was pretty much set in stone. He has been absolutely on fire. 6 goals in his last 6 games and 4 assists. I think he's the top scoring player in the game, is he not? So he's. I think if you haven't got him, make sure you get him. But you then look across the rest, right? And I think a lot of people at free and are probably going to go Watkins, Morris, Tony. Second is Moniz. 4.5 million, last 6 games, 5 goals and an attack and an assist. He's had 6 attack and returns. He's playing a Tottenham defence who love conceding goals.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, they've just kept a clean sheet against Villa, but they love conceding goals. Like, does he jump out at you as a maybe better pick than a Morris or a Tony?
No, but I think he's a valid punt. He's a valid punt, but take it for what it is. It's a punt, right? And I think
yeah, absolutely.
The reason why is right. I think is set pieces and penalties. Really, I think yeah. Like I think it's either Willian or who else will be on penalties ahead of him. No, certainly Willian. I think will be ahead of this, and probably Andreas Pereira will be ahead of him as well. So
yeah,
I think that shifts it for me. I know Watkins isn't on penalties, but he's a very good player for a good attacking team, right? So we're not talking about a full-on player here. And I think, I mean, I think he's flattered to deceive, right, a little bit in terms of his actual underlying stats. Muniz, I'd encourage you to have a look at those, the expected goals. There's not a single, and maybe there's a reflection that I'm kind of relying on it too much, but I do think it's a decent indicator. There's not a single game in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 since he's started. He's been the starter over Jimenez, right? There's not a single game where he's had over 1. Yeah, I think it's a valid punt for the reasons you mentioned, like playing a leaky Spurs team. But I think certainty of minutes and set pieces for Morris and Tony. I think they trump kind of what Muniz is going to offer.
Well, this kind of this agrees, because if you look at alone Muniz, or however you pronounce it, I'm terrible at player names. Is second for expected FPL points. Morris is third, but Morris's expected goals and expected assists are higher. So I'm assuming Muniz has just been getting bonus points, right? But he's scored 5 from an expected 2.76. So he's
close.
outscored.
It's close. It is close. It is close, but I think
Morris is ahead slightly.
Obviously, the form that you display here for the last 6 game weeks is reflective of the teams that people play as well, right? So in that time, Fulham have played Burnley, they've played Bournemouth, they've played Villa, okay, they played Manchester United, okay, Brighton, bad defense, right? Wolves, a middle defense. So there's some kind of quite weak defenses that they played in that time, right? So I think you got to keep that in. But yeah, he's a valid option. I don't think he'd be part of the template, but yeah, he's a valid option.
Yeah. Is there anybody else on the list that jumps out at you?
What, other than the obvious ones?
Other than the obvious. Now, I mean, for example, I think given it's only 8 teams, would you take a point on a Hudson-Odoi or a Langer?
Yeah, well, I guess that there's some players where there's a debate, right? So I think Bailey as the second striker for Villa, there's enough that position is his own now, right? So I think there's a debate between Douglas Luiz and Bailey. If you want to Aston Villa defender, and you can kind of see they're pretty much neck and neck for expected points, and that would include Douglas Luiz's penalties and stuff set pieces, right? So Bailey looks a good option, and then I think the same conversation can be had for a Forest midfielder if you want to go there. Elanga versus or Hudson-Odoi. Indeed, I think I'd rate Elanga above Hudson-Odoi. I think, but comparing them to Gibbs White, and it's the same conversation. It's penalties and set pieces versus pure open play attacking threat. So I think obviously we got a Brentford defender at the bottom, right? In Roslev, which is quite a nice. I think he happens to be in my fantasy team, so it's nice to see him there with a bit of attacking threat, which is cool. So I think he's the pick of the Brentford defenders. But it's the names you would expect, right? But I think it highlights where we can have a bit of a debate between if you want to go for an attacker from a certain team, is it this person or is it this person?
Yeah, and so Bowen's on there, who I think is obvious, right? I think everybody will probably have Bowen. Do you think there's an element to get Kudus instead of Bowen?
No.
No. The reason I bring it, so expected points are in. Well, you can see from the form, Kudus, it doesn't appear on this list. So Bowen's expected FPL points over the last 6 have been higher. Bowen's had 11 shots in the last 6 games. Kudus has had 21. He's had 10 more shots than him. His expected goals are 1.93 compared to Bowen's 1.38. But it's the assists where he lets himself down. He's got 0.6 rather than the 1.45 of Bowen. But 21 shots compared to 11. It's that's... And considering Bowen's been playing pretty much as the number 9, that seems crazy to me.
Yeah, I
His
get
FPL points are still lower.
It kind of says that Kudus has taken lots of bad shots. So Moyes should be saying, don't take shots, stupid shots in positions that aren't good, right?
Yeah. Well, that could be it, couldn't it? He could just be hitting them from about 30 yards every time, and that's one for the shot count.
No, exactly. But like, yeah, it's Bowen, of course, given like he's playing the striker and like, he scored what 150 points this year for a reason. He scored 14 goals for a reason this year. He scored, he had 15 attacking returns last year. He had near enough 30 the season before, right? So, yeah, I think with these things, I know we're stimulating a bit of debate, and like sometimes saying it's simple isn't interesting, but I wouldn't complicate it.
Aye, stay obvious. We'll see. We'll see shortly. Yeah,
I prefer Muniz over Tony or Morris than Kudus over Bowen. I mean, that's just like unnecessary.
Yeah, unnecessary risk. I appreciate the advice. And we will see who off this list you've got in your team a little bit later on. But I thought it might be worth just pulling this screen up. So, I appreciate if people are on free hit, then they're going to just pick 15 players that play this game week, right?
Mm-hmm.
But for those that are listening that maybe haven't got their free hit and maybe aren't going to use a wild card, this is the list of teams that are expected points for the next 6 game weeks.
Yeah,
I kind of put, is it dangerous to forget about players who are playing in game week 29? That's mainly for people, Matt, that are going to be doing a transfer to try and top up their teams. I've noted Kudus and Bowen already, but we've just had that debate. And then I've made a note about Haaland's expected points compared to Salah's. Over the next 6 game weeks, Salah's expected to outscore him in 5 of them, which is crazy. I suppose on that point, does that game week 30, 7.5 expected points for Salah? Are you rushing to get him back in that game week?
I'm surprised Son is 5 point. Son is there as 5.9 expected points, and like Son is playing Luton, right? So depending on how much faith you want to put in the fixes expected points, you may want to push Son a little bit harder. But like, for Salah, for me, I won't be able to get to Salah without a hit. Son, I can just move KDB, so it's like team dependent as always. But like, you want one of them for game week 30 for sure. And like, this is a kind of interesting bit of analysis here with like Haaland. Like, you'd normally be like topped by some margin, as you can see here. Like, Salah's clear, and I tend to agree with that. I think there's mixed fixtures for City, but also their underlying attacking stats haven't been great.
Yeah,
pretty much all season, really. Like, let's be honest. There's been some like random hauls from Foden and stuff like that. They've been quite fortunate, but they haven't been blowing teams away, right? So I'd agree that. Yes, Liverpool attackers and probably Arsenal attackers to an extent are like probably better than Manchester City ones in the moment. But I agree with that. But I obviously, you were putting this up here just around people who don't have a free hit, who are the smart players to bring in. I think obviously ignore Salah and Haaland, but like, it's the next 3 that are important, right? Watkins, Son, Tony, like looking good over the next couple, and like playing in game week 29, you want to be prioritising those. Everyone's got Watkins, so we'll assume that's a given. If you don't have Son, get Son. Tony, I think, is a decent option as well. So I think those are the ones that you'd be looking to prioritise if you don't have you're not playing the free hit. You can manage with free transfers.
If you can't stretch to Son, do you think Maddison is an adequate option for Spurs?
I think it's Son and Maddison rather than Son or Maddison.
Yeah,
it's obviously exaggerated the example, but it's a bit of a case where it's like, oh, do I want Luis Diaz to cover or Salah?
Yeah.
I was gonna say Gatto,
obviously Diaz with both his misses against City.
He's just not a very good player, is he? Like, really?
He had a great game. He just couldn't put the ball in the net.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't. He's all right, but he's not.
You don't rate him. I know you don't rate him.
Like, I don't know. Yeah, there's players within the Premier League for loads of other teams that you would play ahead of him, including someone like Bowen.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm not disagreeing, by the way. I don't disagree. Yeah, Bowen smashes in 15 to 20 a season. I'd quite happy. I'd be more than happy if Diaz could do that.
yeah, that's not even like saying like players like Son, which is just ridiculous. But like, yeah, kind of like achievable players that don't play for the top teams. Like, there's quite a few better than Diaz. But anyway, yeah. So it's I'm rambling now, but yeah, I think it's Son and Madison. It's a question rather than Son or Madison. So he's a good option, but obviously different leagues in terms of their quality and output.
Right, yeah. But if you're not doing free hit or wildcarding in this game week, that's probably a question for you. Do you feel like if you haven't got your free hit, doing a wildcard in this game week is
No,
sensible, or do you just ride it out with points?
Ride it out with
Hits.
some point hits and like prioritize those players that are explosive and will be captain options. Son, Watkins, Tony to a lesser extent, right? Get those ones that are gonna get the big hauls and have the highest ownership because of like captaincy options. Cover those. It's a really bad game week to wild card. Actually, it's probably one of the worst ones. I think if you wanted the wild card, this week would have been a better one. Game week 28, because then you could have like navigated it with maybe 9 players and stuff like that. But yeah, game week 30 and 31 are far superior, and also I think we'll have the benefit of knowing when some of the doubles land, or at least like a better understanding of the likelihood of what will happen in 34 and 37. So yeah, I don't wildcard this week.
Yeah, bring in Watkins, Son, Tony. They're the big tickets.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
But we always have a look at the captain, and you mentioned this already, just about bringing in the players that are going to be the big captain options. Unsurprising, Son, Tony, Watkins, top of the list. Done a little comparison, like I always like to. So Son, Tony, Watkins are all away from home. I've then thrown Morrison, who's at home, to Forest. But Son's, this is your per 90 data, right? So Son expected a goal involvement away from home per 90 is 0.69. Watkins is 0.68. Tony's is 0.5. He's a bit further behind. The teams that they're playing, right? If you look at their expected goals conceded, Tony's playing Burnley 1.65. Watkins is playing West Ham also 1.65. Son's playing Fulham at 1.46. So Son and Watkins are basically matched for goal involvement, but Watkins is playing statistically the worst defence out of the two. Does that lean you towards Watkins, or I'm assuming if you get Son in, is he going to just be given straight the armband?
It's really close, isn't it? It is really close. I think probably Son because of penalties at the moment.
Yeah. Makes sense. What about Tony? So Tony's expected goal involvement 0.5. Burnley's expected goals conceded at home 1.65, and also Tony has the penalty shout.
Despite what it says here in the expected points, I think he's slightly lower than Son Watkins.
Yeah.
I just put that at where Brentford are at the moment from an attacking point of view.
Yeah, he hasn't of late. It's kind of Witter's been getting the goals. It seems, Tony. I'm not seeing the games in all fairness, but it didn't feel like Tony's been providing as much as what he has previously. Like when he first came back, I think did he score like 3 in a row, and then I don't think he's done anything since. I threw Morris in, waste of time. He is playing technically the worst defence in Forest. Expected goals conceded per 90 at 1.77. But Morris's expected goal involvement at home is 0.36. So it's like half of what Son and Watkins are outputting.
Yeah, well, you got 2 teams there, like in Spurs and Villa, who are probably top 5 attacking threats, and then you got Luton. Again, it's I know we're having the debate to be thorough in it, but that's not overcomplicated.
Yeah, Son, putting a gun to your head now, Matt. Son or Watkins, who are you captaining?
Yeah, probably Son. Like just the thrill of it, isn't it? Because like he'll be a player I'm bringing in. So
yeah. That makes sense. Well, the next screen we haven't done this for a while. Questions for Matt. It's back. The return. No pressure. Few questions to fire at you. as well as a transfer question. And I thought I'd misspelled transfer then. No, it's okay. It looks fine. But a few to throw at you. So thanks for your submission, everybody that has submitted a question. K7, who is the best Arsenal attack right now? And is it worth a -4 to go from one to the other? So in the question, he's actually mentioned he's got Martinelli, who might actually now be injured. And he was talking about moving him to Saka. But is Havertz now an option?
I'd rank it as Saka by far the best. By far. Yeah. It's probably the best FPL player at the moment, right? I think to some extent, if you're looking at the form of the last 6 game weeks, wow. So yeah, Saka is worth -4 points to move from Martinelli. But I'd rank it Saka, Ødegaard, Havertz. Then I think all the other guys are out of scope really. But it's nice to obviously I started the season with Havertz, and that's based on I liked the player and how he could fit in with the system. And I saw the Community Shield game where he was really, really good as a 9. Didn't really all come through like at the beginning of the season, but now it is, right? So I think kind of like thought it would come eventually, right? So he's an interesting player. I don't think he's going to be a valid one, right? Because people will go double defense and Saka, right? So I was thinking, would I get him in my team for the rest of the season? Probably not, but yeah, he's looking good. But like I'd stack rank it: Saka, big gap, Ødegaard, gap, Havertz, and then the rest a bit of non-entity.
Nobody else. Not even Declan Rice, who's been providing some of the definitely not. But there you go. So -4, yes, from Martinelli to Saka is worth it.
But if you're wildcarding, on that one, though, like I think if you got your wildcard, which I presume you will have, you might as well just like wait it out. Like you're probably going to wildcard 30, 31, 32 if your team is in a bad state. And I think if you got Martinelli, maybe is in a bad state. Like so, I reckon you can wait it out potentially.
You can wait. I suppose Arsenal blank in 29. They then play City away in 30.
Exactly.
So yeah, time to do it. Riddick. So when playing the free hit, so I'm assuming Riddick is playing the free hit. Is it best to focus on limited teams for defense to not limit your points? I think basically what that is terribly written by me, not Riddick. Can I just point in? But as point was, if you've got Tony up front, would you then play a Charlie Taylor, so it's your striker against your defender, or would you look at your attack and be like, well, I don't want to play any defenders that they're against because I might limit if he scores, the clean sheet's gone, right?
No, I get it. It's kind of like saying, hey, you don't want to defend a player or attacker and vice versa. And I think it's obviously the free hit highlights this more, but it's a question that people debate most weeks, right? Oh, do I want an Arsenal defender against Man City attacker in game week 30 because I won't maximise my points? One of them might get the return, the other won't. I think it don't matter, really. You just got to play who do you think is getting the most points. I think in most of the games there's some clear favourites though. So I think like looking and you're going to be limited to the options, right? Because there's only 4 fixtures, but I think Brentford are clear favourites against Burnley.
Yeah,
I think Luton Forest is a bit up for grabs, but Forest are the favourites, right? But Luton do have adequate players. Spurs will be clear favourites against Fulham, and then Villa will be favourites against kind of West Ham. So I think you'll naturally be biased towards some of those teams. And we're going to do our free hit drafts now, and I think I'm certainly biased towards some of the teams, and I think you are as well. But I think it'll naturally happen that you don't have too many of the matchups. But if you do, I wouldn't worry about it. Just think about who do you think out of the defenders has the maximum opportunity to get the most points, and then who out of the attackers has the maximum opportunity. Tony against Taylor is an exaggerated example because I think Tony's a really good option and Burnley defence isn't a good option. But like maybe a more interesting one would be I don't think there's a great option anyway. But would you have Bowen and also Konsa from Villa? Maybe like that. Konsa's a valid option, right? I think that's fair. Like. I wouldn't worry about it.
Or is it Luton versus Forest? So Alanga and Doughty.
Yeah,
as an
go
example.
For it. And you can think, Doughty's got other routes to points and whatnot. Alanga's not guaranteed. He's not guaranteed to score every single game. So yeah, you kind of just like think, is Doughty the best defender I can get? Ignore your midfield.
I threw that one in because I've got them in my draft.
Yeah, no,
So
no, I think
just thought
I
I'd
think
throw that one in.
I think I'm the same. I think I've got Gibbs White and Doughty, so I think that's a
Yeah.
good example. That one, yeah.
And then at Livercard, key players for game week 29. Now, we can just hang fire because we're going to do your draft, and I'm assuming you will point out when you look at your draft who are your locks, and then the
Yeah.
rest you're going to play around with.
Well,
So
let's do that. But I think there's probably like when I
yeah,
was playing with drafts, there's probably about 6 or 7 players that are going to be a lock in almost every team.
yeah,
Yeah, that'll be Son, Madison, Bowen. That will be Watkins, Tony, and probably Morris. I know you mentioned Muniz as an option. Probably everyone will have Roslev from Brentford because they're playing Burnley, and like you got a bit of decent attacking threat. A lot of people have Doty as well. A lot of people have Flecken. So I think there's a core spine that most people have it, and they'll be like captaincy will be up for grabs, and then also like the 4 or 5 players around the edges will be where there's differences. But I think it's really obvious. Like, and I think don't worry about that. Like people say, "Oh, it's template, it's boring." No one's got original thoughts. You know what I mean? Like everyone else, like we can't say we're smarter than other people, right? So I think it's reassuring if other people have got like similar kind of drafts. But when I was playing around with it, I think there's only so many routes you can go. So I think those are 5 or 6 or 7 players that I think are really key.
Yeah, and then it's play around with a couple of differentials around the outside. Steve says stuff. Transfer question of the week. Thought this might be one that is on a lot of people's minds. So Steve says stuff has got 5 players and 1 free transfer. What do you see as too many hits for this blank double game week?
Listen, I don't think it's an awful situation to be in, right? Because like it's not screaming great players and great teams, right? And the better teams like Villa and Spurs, they're playing better teams themselves away, right? We're playing West Ham and Fulham, right? So I think you don't have to worry about it too much. I think easy answer, but it's team dependent. But I think I would be prioritizing the key players, and key players not just this week, but into like future game weeks, the next 2 or 3 as well. That you want to be keeping. So if you don't have a song, absolutely, I'd be looking to take a hit or hits to get him in. Watkins, presumably everyone's got Watkins, but yeah, the same applies to Watkins. I think to a lesser extent, it applies to Tony. And a general rule of thumb, right, is that obviously on the captaincy slide you had a few slides ago, which said the predicted points. If the predicted points for a player are more than 4, you can kind of justify that hit on averages. Yeah. So I reckon you can take, if you have 6, 7 players, it's good, but it really depends on who the players are. Would I be taking a hit to bring in Doty? Probably not. Would I be taking a hit to bring in Muniz? Probably not. Morris? Tough one.
Yeah.
Maybe just. Charlie Taylor? No. So it depends on the players, but I reckon you can have a solid game with 7 players for sure. Which is like
he's
one
got the
hit.
right players. 1 hit. Exactly that.
But yeah, like the rule of thumb is like a transfer's worth 4 points in it, right? So like look at the predicted points, see if they match up with the various like sites have, like, including Fix, including other ones as well. If it's clearly above 4 and the expected points in it kind of fits in with like your feelings of that player, cool, hit them in.
There you go. Send in your team, Steve. Let's see what you do. Send it in next week. We'll see how you got on. But we're going to move on to your least favorite part of the week, Matt versus Dave. So
you're wrong, mate.
This was from game week.
You're wrong. You're wrong. The least favorite part is actually going for our scores and the teams at the beginning. Let's be real.
The second least favorite part. So DCL, you got unlucky. DCL got benched this game week, and Beto started. And I'm pretty sure in game week 27, did he miss a pen or was that the game week after? But Beto seems to have started the last 2. So DCL off the bench for 1. Bailey pulled out an assist and got you 4, so it took you to 5. My Bernardo Silva point didn't work out for me, but Havertz pulled in a goal and an assist for the 3rd game week running, getting me 14 points. So I ended up winning the week. Takes it to 11-10 to me. Still very close. Still 10 game weeks to go. Anybody's game. Now, there's 4 fixtures to pick from, Matt. So our picks are very limited. But it's actually your go to pick first.
Oh, cool. That
So,
is a nice little
so
surprise. Let me just like check the ownership percentages of this. Like proper amateur, this, isn't it?
it is honestly, mate. This is a tough game. I've wrote 4 down, right? Because you get to go first. You might take 2 of mine, and I have to go with the other 2. But this is not easy.
Yeah. Well, let's go Muniz for my first one.
Now, Muniz,
Yeah.
he was my first one. But that's a shame. You've got him. I understand why. 6 returns in his last 6 games, 3% owned. Can't argue with that. I'm going to go for a player we've already discussed, which is Kudus.
Yeah.
Kudus against Bowen argument. Kudus is 4.1% owned. He's returned twice in the last 3, 21 shots in his last 6. So he's taken 3 to 4 shots a game. The Villa defence, they've just conceded 4. They haven't got John McGinn in there. So I can see West Ham maybe getting at them a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that's where I'm going to go. So
Nice.
Kudus is my first pick.
That's a nice pick. That. Leon Bailey is above 5%, so he's no longer eligible.
He's scraped over.
Just. Ross Barkley's an interesting option. He's 3.2%, so he's interesting. However, I'm going to sit on him for a second. Who's in Spurs? I was hoping Maddison. I was hoping Maddison was going to be like in scope.
Just scraped it. I think it's Kulusevski. I don't know whether Johnson is. And
Werner I was
is.
thinking Johnson's a bit more exciting, isn't he, as a differential, but his minutes are certainly more uncertain.
Same with Werner. Werner hasn't. I don't think he started the last 2. Come off the bench and scored twice.
Yeah, I think it's either Werner or Johnson who's like playing. So like it looks like that's a bit of a toss up. I'm gonna go Kulusevski in that case. I was close to going with Johnson, so we'll make a note on that. But like, yeah, I reckon Johnson will start with Werner, but it does seem to be a one or the other.
So you're going Kulusevski?
No, fuck it. I'll go Johnson. I'm going Johnson.
You going for it? Going for it.
Let's do it.
He's going for it. Brendan Johnson. Okay. And he scored in the week. Got the start. Got a goal.
Scored last 2. Yeah. So I think he's better player than Werner as well.
He's performing. He is absolutely, and even when he comes off the bench, he's been putting in goals and assists. So he's got every chance.
Well, that's where Spurs scored their goals, isn't it? After 90 minutes.
Exactly that.
So,
exactly that. I'm stretching now. So Barkley was on my watch list.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go for Wissa. Wissa is 4.9% owned. He's just scraped under.
I'm surprised
he scored in his last 3 games.
I'm surprised he's that highly owned,
Yeah, he's just scraped in, but he scored in the last 3. He seems to be getting starts. Brentford against Burnley, not the best defense in the world. He's hit a bit of a purple patch, so I'm just going for him.
Back?
And he not yet.
No.
But he's over 5% owned still.
Oh, you're right, actually.
Which is,
mate.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Vista now on the webs on the FPL site. He's 5.3%.
Has he gone up? Oh, when I looked yesterday, he's 4.9. No, right. I'm gonna have to go for Ross. I'm gonna have to go for Ross Barkley then. That's a kick. He was 4.9% yesterday. Oh well, Ross Barkley it is.
I think Barkley's a better option than Visser anyway, but yeah, he's 5.3% apparently. How's he got
Kudu's still under 5?
I hope not.
check. He was 4.1.
4.4%. So he's gone up.
Well, that'll do. He scraped. He's scraped in.
What people do
this must be. I'm assuming people
like
people must be playing the free hit and just bringing in the players. Yeah. Just scraped over. Right. Okay, that's fine. So Kudus and Barkley for me, Muniz and Johnson for you, and we'll see. We'll see how we get on. I feel like it's Kudus against Muniz, and that's how it's gonna. That's whoever wins that battle wins. but we'll find out next week. Moving on to our reveals, I'll try not to spend too long on mine because we've got 2 screens for yourself, Matt. One with your team as it stands, and then one which I think most of the listeners are kind of tuning in for, which is Matt's free hit squad, which I think is probably what you're going to end up doing. I've hit it early. I have already activated the free hit. I did see FPL Focal to say don't hit it early because you never know. There might be a meteorite strike. Anything could happen in the world. That means you lose your free hit when all the games get cancelled. Didn't think about that, but there you go. I've hit the button. You're looking confused. He was doing it in a joking way.
No.
It was a joke.
I was thinking. There's madder things that have happened, right? Was it like the Queen's death? Like all the games were cancelled, wasn't it?
That's it. Exactly that.
Like,
That's one of the things he pointed out.
You should be seeing the rumors, haven't you? With I don't know if you've been like on like X and if you've seen the like Kate Middleton like doctored photos and stuff like that. Something's happening
with
there.
The ring.
Something's happening there, so that they may be cancelled. So yeah, you deserve to be punished for that.
So
didn't predict like.
I've hit it already.
Yeah,
I've hit it. So I felt I had to. I kind of committed to it last week when I did a transfer taken out Moreno, who was going to play this week. I kind of committed myself to it, but I had 4 players and 1 free hit, so 5 players getting out, and I didn't have the likes of Bowen, Madison, Tony, Morris. I didn't have any of them, so I was missing out on the big players as well. I'm not expecting many clean sheets, so I've kind of hedged my bets across the defence. So just for the people that are listening, I'll run through. I'm probably going to start flecking. I've got Trafford and Net on the team, but I'll probably start flecking away at Burnley across the defence. I've then got Pedro Porro, Doughty, and Rouslev. That's how it's pronounced. Again, not expecting loads of clean sheets, but we'll see what they can do. Midfield, probably staple, like most people will have Son, Madison double up, and Bowen. I've then gone for Alanga just for his goal threat for the Forest attackers. And then up front again, the 3 I expect most will have Tony, Morris, Watkins. Alanga's kind of a differential from the Forest attackers. He seems to have the best stats, which is why I've gone there. Spurs look great in the second half, so I've doubled up with Madison and Son and bought Porro in. He got a bonus point for the defensive clean sheet. But there's not too much to talk about because it's probably pretty template other than maybe Alanga. And that's probably it.
But like, I mean that's the position. It's like if not Alanga, is it Kudus? Is it Barkley? Is it Gibbs Wright? Is it Douglas Luiz? So there's only a small handful of like viable options anyway. Right? So all the teams are going to be quite boring. But like, yeah, I mean, this is if you start flecking over Trafford, which I'm sure you said you will anyway. That's the team. Like that is going to be the team. So you can't hate
future. That's it is what it is. And the league that I'm in, like my main league, second and third, have already used their free hits. So at least I'm ahead of them for this game week. I think so. So hopefully I'll get myself a bit of a gap. One of them's got like 4 players to play, but they have got their wild card. I don't know whether that's what their plan is. But anyway, that's enough about my personal battles in my FPL leagues. My other considerations and future planning. Likely use the wild card for double game week 34. Bringing back Palmer soon. Likely going to sell Gross. And then if I want Salah, which I 100% do want Salah, and I might even get Nunes, it's going to take a wild card. So that'll come in 30, potentially 31. I'll see what my team looks like for 30. And take it from there. But as I say, not a load to look at because it's the staple. Anything that you're looking at there, and you go, why have you done that? No, happy days. Happy days. I'm learning how to play, so that's cool.
It's a bit boring, isn't it? But like,
this is your.
It's inevitable, really, given it's such a big blank game week. So, yeah.
Well, this is your current team as it stands. So you've got 3, well, 2 playing, and Richarlison who's injured. I'm assuming you're going to free it, Matt.
Yeah, and I'm kind of laughing that the team is just looking really bad for game week 30 as well. So I've got 3 Arsenal players, 3 Man City, an injured Gordon, an injured Richarlison, a Bradley who may be benched for Trent, Yeah, it's probably trending that I'm going to have to use it in game week 30, which is probably a little bit earlier than I would want, but I think I kind of need to do it. But yeah, of course, yeah, I had 2 free transfers. I brought in 2 Bournemouth defenders. They're blanking really, so that kind of did force me into using the free hit. I mean, I think it was Richarlison that was the straw that broke the camel's back. Do you know what I mean? That was the kind of thing that kind of pushed me over the threshold. Like, if he was still fit, I might have like tried to navigate a little bit. But I would have been happy to play 6 or 7 players if I had Son and Tony maybe. But like, yeah, I've got to use the free hit, right? That's like I mean, that's like one decision that I won't regret, right? Because even with appearance points, I'm going to be up, given I've got 2 players playing.
Yeah. Well, for those that need that this will be what everybody's been waiting for all episode. This is your current free hit squad. Talk us through it.
Well, it's the same as yours, pretty much, right? So yeah, as we were saying with the questions, as we were saying when we look at your team, there's like a very strong template where it's just very obvious to go for certain players. So my keepers are Fleck and Areola. I'll be playing Flecken. I'll be starting Flecken. I think probably clean sheets odds. I think Brentford will be the best given they're playing Burnley. Defenders again gone for teams that are the favourites, and also in most cases and players where they've got some attacking returns. So first time owning Pedro Porro this season, that'll be interesting. Doty from Luton and Roslev from Brentford. Those will be the starting 3, exactly the same as you, but that's not a coincidence, right? We're just like planning things out. So, and then yeah, the remaining defenders are a toss-up. There's only 4.5 options. I just went Conser and Murillo from Forest, and then midfield again. I think 3 of the players picked themselves: Son, Maddison, and Bowen. Then it's who's the best of the rest. You've mentioned one of them, Elanga. We've mentioned Kudos as another option. Yeah, I've gone Douglas Luiz and Gibbs White, and it'll be penalty takers really is the reason behind that.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a bit of a toss up around out of those 2. Who do I start? I'd probably trend to Luiz at this moment in time, but like Gibbs White is kind of viable as well as a Elanga that you've got, right? And then up front, I think again, Muniz is an option over Morris, but I think it picks it itself really. It's Watkins, Tony, Morris really. So yeah, a little bit dull, but I think that's the core of the team. It's going to look and feel like this for the majority of people, and that's fine.
Yeah. So you kind of made a note. Not majorly concerned as teams are likely to be pretty identical. Is this the sort of game week where because not everybody will have their free hit, right? There'll be a lot of people that have already used it. There'll be a lot of people that aren't going to be putting out this like staple 9 plus another 2 or whatever. Does that mean you're expecting a green arrow, but a small one?
Well, I was expecting one this week. I was expecting one in 25, and I got reds in both. So like, I think it'll be a disaster if I don't get a green arrow this week, because all the players that can damage me, I've got. I think the only, and if this happens to anyone, like, yeah, don't feel frustrated. It's just luck, right? If Watkins, for example, does his random thing where he does his 20-pointer that he does every like 10 games, and you captain Son, that could mean that you're on a red arrow, right? Or Areola does his random thing where he saves penalties and then he has 20-pointer. That could cause red arrows, but other than that, I think it'll be quite difficult because of like, yeah, I think probably on average it's going to be about 5 or 6 players that people are putting out in terms of squads, right? So there's a heavy advantage here. And there's some good players that just won't be owned very much, like Bowen, Maddison, Tony, Morris, Roslev, Fleck, and they won't be owned highly, right? So yeah, it should finally be a decent green arrow, but yeah, we'll see.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. I'm hopeful. I am hopeful. It's I want to come out with a green arrow this week. We'll see if that happens once we find out what happens on Wednesday. We'll come to a close. We'll come to a close. That is the last screen. As I say, everybody was waiting for the what does Matt's free hit squad look like? So thanks for sharing. When, out of interest, based on like when would you hit the free hit button? Are you going to wait till Saturday morning?
Yeah, or Friday. Friday just seem like whenever I'm bored, I guess I'll flick it. But I'll have to see how close I am to budget. I think I had like loads of excess cash, so it don't really matter the price changes and whatnot. So I can just like live with them. So yeah, probably like Friday or Saturday. But yeah, as you saw my current team, I just need to do it. I guess no way around. I'm not going into this week with like 1 free chance at Ariola and Ken Watkins. So yeah, I'm going to be playing it. And yeah, it's quite insightful to see my team for game week 30 as well. I'll probably be wild card in there as well, which is it's not an ideal time because Man City play Arsenal, but I think it's a good opportunity to flesh up the bench, so I can be comfortable benching several of those players. Then it'll be all good, really. So yeah, but
do you think a lot of people are be in your position, mates? Like a lot of people will have 3 Arsenal, 3 City.
Yeah,
is it the injuries? Is it the Richarlison and Gordon injury that's getting you for that?
Yeah, but it depends on like the rest of the team, right? So like those players are good players, right? And you can like bench 1 or 2. You'd want to play Haaland. You probably want to play Foden. I've gone 3 of each. Not everyone's got 3 of each, right? But then it's the other players that I would bench them for. I've got an injured Gordon. I've got a Bradley who's a rotation risk. I've got an injured Richarlison. Then I've got 3 Bournemouth players, and Bournemouth are playing. Who are they playing on game week 30? I think they've got an okay fixture. Everton home. Everton, I think, is a tough fixture. Really, it's not an easy fixture. So it's the players I play instead of them, right? And then there's some glaring issues. No Son, no Salah, no Palmer. So yeah, I think it all points towards wild carding, and I think you can get away with probably 2 Man City players, really.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know who the best third one is. Right, so Foden is a given, right? Haaland is a given, and then like probably the worst move I did of the season, like given like we were talking him down, like bringing De Bruyne, like he's done absolutely nothing for me. I don't think there's a third attacker that stands out, and then I think there's the same issue with the defenders. Like the defense is a little bit leaky, and then there is rotation. So I think I'd get away with 2 Man City players, and you'd want to be all in on Arsenal. But if you can bench 1 or 2 of those of that selection of 5 players, you're cool. I just don't have alternatives to play. So yeah, it looks like I'll be wild carding in 30. And I think 31 has been the one where people are like, oh, that's the week to target the wild card. And I think that's partly due to like international breaks and stuff like that.
So international breaks after this game week coming.
I
believe.
Yeah, there's a 2 week gap in there. So that's FA Cup, isn't it? That's FA Cup. That's FA Cup, I think.
FA Cup's this weekend.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. So I think the reason why 31 has been targeted by a lot of people is purely because of the City Arsenal game. But like, you can bench those players and play a few of them. It's fine. Like, I mean, I think you'd still be targeting the same teams and whatnot. So yeah, that'll be interesting. I think it would be hard to make massive inroads because I think again a wildcard team at this stage picks itself. Really, you're gonna have Salah, Son, Palmer. Then pick your choice of the remaining. Well, you're gonna have Saka as well, aren't you? That's 4 midfielders.
Yeah.
No one's given that they got doubles. Those kind of teams. You're not gonna have anyone else. So it's the 5th midfielder. Up front, you're gonna have Watkins and Haaland probably. Right then, it's like okay, who's the second thing, and then defense you're gonna have double Arsenal defense. I think most teams will have, and then it's like who's your 3rd defender of choice.
This is it. Everybody with those players, you're gonna have about everybody else in your squad's gonna have to be like 4 million. That's big on the budget.
See who you can afford, but like I think, there might have to be some sacrifices in defense, or you pay like a 4.5 striker instead of like a Nunez and whatnot. But
yeah,
I think maybe no Haaland is a viable strategy as well. Actually, thinking like what their attack is looking like and how he's been returning since coming back. So yeah, but
happy with Salah and Son captain choices instead of Haaland. Makes sense.
Exactly. So yeah, I'll probably do that in 30. I'll see how the injury news for some of those players manifest and change. But yeah, I'm guessing you're undecided at the moment for that wild card chip. You?
Yeah, I had my team together and don't mind it. Bournemouth have got a nice fixture, so I don't mind playing my Bournemouth defender in that game week. I'll play Gabriel only. I'll probably bench Saliba, can get away with that. I'll probably maybe sell Walker. But again, I've got. I don't hate my team. I don't love it. But once I sell Gross for Palmer, I'll have Palmer. I'll have Saka. I'll have Son. It
Yeah,
looks
you're
okay.
in a better place.
It looks okay.
Yeah, you're in a better place. It's the lack of Salah is an issue for you, but like it's not a lot of people will be in that same position because of this price point. You've got Son and you'll have Palmer, so I think you're better covered than me for sure. So yeah, I think
Don't hate it. I don't hate it. That's not to say I won't play it. I just or I'll talk it up on a podcast and then not do it. That's another thing I could do like I did last week. But it's worked out. It's worked out not playing it, by the way. In case anybody was wondering, I'd have been definitely worse off if I had played it so far.
Yeah, I think I did get that move. Why people wildcarded this game just because you're loading up with bad players, right? Bad players from bad teams. Yeah. But hey, I've not been perfect in my play. I've been far from it right this year, so I can't get it. What's your target now for end of year? So you're like 80k at the moment, probably beyond like a great arrow potentially going in with a free hit where you'll be, hopefully getting some points. Like, where do you reckon you'll finish?
My best finish is about 43k, so I want to beat that.
Oh, easy.
I'd like top 25k. Would be great. Top 10k with the whole. Then we don't. That will that be the end of the podcast? FPL journey to 10k. Do it in season 1, and then that's the chat done. Well, I've done it now. So I'll finish 10,000 first.
I might delete my team just to kind of keep that like nice average rank intact. So like, maybe it'll be end. But yeah, I think for you, it's I haven't looked at the points differences obviously because the rank differences is obviously squeezed the lower you are, and then as you get higher ranks, there's like big like gaps. But don't I don't think you're miles off. The problem is there'll be a very strong template, but I think
similar players in it. That's the problem that I'm going to
have. But like, how many points are you on at the moment?
I am. Well, at the minute, I'm on. What am I on? 17 something. But I am 16 points off 50k. I'm 54 points off 10k.
Yeah, that's easy. That's easy to like with the free hit. I think that will kind of like obviously a lot of people will be playing it, but like not everyone ahead of you would have played it. So would have already played it, right? So I think you could kind of probably gain 10, 20 points just in one game week there. I think 10k is about 1785 or something like that, is it? I'm just trying something like that.
My points.
No, the 10k like points at the moment. I think 10k.
Oh, the 10k. Sorry, yeah, the 10k is there or thereabouts.
Yeah, I think
54 points ahead of me.
That is not.
So yeah, 1783.
Yeah, no, that was a good guess.
Well played. Well played.
Yeah, I think that's achievable, right? We'll see like where you are at the end of the free hit. If you're like 50k at the end of the free hit, then it's like looking pretty promising, right?
Fingers crossed. I'm only 201 points off first, Matt.
Yeah, I feel like I'm 201 points off you at the moment. It's like
it's not that bad. It really isn't. It really isn't that bad. But yeah, maybe I won't go for first. But yeah, top 40k for the first time. Top 25k would be great. Top 10k is the outside dream. So yeah, we'll see where I end up at the end. But I can assure you, you're not that far behind me.
All I'm waiting for now, mate, is like something like FPL Review just to publish their expected goal ranks, and then I can just use that as my justification.
Yeah.
I've been unlucky. That's what.
There's no question about it.
That's why I'll hang everything up, because I think a few weeks ago there was something that was saying like, oh yeah, expected points is just well off where I'm at. But I've played bad since then as well, so it's probably come off a little bit. But yeah, I think that's the top 100k is even looking hard for me. But like, yeah, that would be okay if it's under the top 100k, I suppose. And then yeah, I'll just be living off that XG ranking once those are published.
Yeah. You're not too far off the top 100k, surely, because I think you're only about 40 behind me ish, and
yeah,
I'm 80 something.
Yeah,
so you must only be like 30 odd.
Yeah, that should be achievable, really. And like, I think, to be honest, I should probably be there anyway if I didn't play bad the last couple of game weeks. Where I've just done like the De Bruyne move was just like a stupid one that was unnecessary. So I think without that, I'd probably be quite close to that threshold anyway. So I think that's achievable, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, like
see where you go from there. See where you go. The catch, if it helps, like if I as I say, if I finish in the top 10k, then you can claim the rank, because I wouldn't have finished there without you.
That's all you. It's all you. It's all you. To be honest, like, I think that every week it just seems all the moves seem quite obvious, don't they?
Not all the time. There's been the odd occasion where I've been like, I've said something, you're like, what are you doing that for? So you have definitely helped.
And there's a few marginal ones where there's big outcomes. Obviously, like Gross, when you thought through a lot, and it's come out really nicely. But like, obviously, this free hit move it, like, yeah, that's 8 teams. But I think we selected like 12 players the same out of 15 from like what's that, squads of like 8 times like 20, 160 players. Like, so I think there's only so many routes we can do. But I think
to do it.
I know in previous years, like, you were a good player, like, but you always did want to force like a random player. And
constant.
Do you know what I mean? You were like
constant.
Always did say, "Oh, this person owned 30%, so I'm not going to go for them. I'm going to go for like some random."
I love that, and I'm doing it this week. So I'm bringing Alenga in. Alenga will be my 11th man, just because nobody else is going for him, and that's why I was like, "Oh, Muniz over Morris. That could be a fun option for me, because everybody's going for Morris." So yeah, I'm tempted.
I'm
tempted.
Do it.
But if I'm playing safe, I'll play Morris. But I think I'll go Alenga. I think Alenga's I think my team's pretty much set. What you've just seen is pretty much set. I think I'll go. It'll be Alenga or Kudus.
More exciting than Louise and Gibbs White, is he? Go Hudson-Odoi at least.
Yeah. I'm going Alenga. Know what it is? I watched him play Liverpool, and he should have scored twice. I'm like, this guy's getting into positions. He's underperforming his expected goal data. It's going to come. It's going to come for the lads, and I hope it's this week. That's what it is. But we'll see. We'll see. But hey, Matt, good to have you back. Next week will just be a catch up based on outcome of this, because then we go into the international break. So a bit of a shorter episode next week if you can join us. Just as I say, review game week 29, see how we got on. Look at both of our top green arrows, half our rank each. See how we get on there, and then catch up the following week more planning for game week 30, which could be an episode that's, from the sounds of it, is going to see your wildcard team.
Yeah, I was looking at it. So
yeah,
essential viewing. I don't know.
Yeah, look, that's when everybody comes on. Everybody watches the wildcard episodes. We'll be the biggest audience yet. But no, appreciate it. It's good to have you back. Glad you enjoyed your trip. And cheers for joining us. Catch you next week.
Top man, thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to you, the listener, for joining us as well. I say this every week, but really does help us if you give it a like, give us a subscribe. If you did find this useful, helps other people to find us as well. That's a big thank you to Matt as well for all the guidance he is given, not just me, but also giving you too. So if you could do that, to subscribe and like, we would very much appreciate it. Otherwise, whatever you're doing, whether you're playing your free hit, whether you're just doing transfers or your wildcard, even though Matt has just said it's probably the worst time to do that, so don't. Whatever you end up doing, best of luck with it. We'll see you on the other side next week, and catch you then.